I am going to talk to you about something that's going to make you all feel super at ease. Conflict in marriage and relationships. Ah, yeah. Sit back, relax, because the love doctor is about to speak. Northside, I love you, and let's get into the Word of God. I have been greatly blessed since the Chiefs have gotten better because the game times moved back. I do not enjoy it when the Chiefs games are during the Lord's time on Sunday mornings, but we put up with it. But today is one of those days where they play early, and they play, of course, the Raiders. If there's any team that we all should feel validation to hate, it would be the Raiders. Nobody really wears Raiders garb, in the Ozarks much, and they definitely don't wear it in Kansas City. Because when somebody would come into the room in a Raiders jersey, there's palpable tension. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And God forbid you were married to somebody who was a Chiefs fan and a Raiders fan, because when they did play, I can imagine the tension would be heightened, and, there'd be no peace in a home like that. No victory dances in the end zone between husbands and wives, if you know what I mean. And staying in love with somebody can feel like a fight sometimes that begs the question, why is there so much conflict in our relationships? Now, I have observed this morning, watching people come in, and there are folks that are thinking about marriage, folks that are dating, folks that are looking, folks that have been married for a while, and I know this hits everybody, and so no matter what the size or scale of the commitment behind your relationship this morning, know that it does seem like often men and women play on two different teams. And if you're not looking, you'll need it at some point, because I've lived long enough to know that you can not be looking and then slam, bam, you're right in the middle of a relationship working it out. And so, maybe you've been, or you've watched, let's say it this way, maybe you've watched others have some conflict in their relationships and you'd like to help others. And when you're unable to break the cycle, when you're unable to get things to heal and come back, you look at that person and say, look, I don't know what's wrong with you. Well, what's wrong with you? I can't figure it out. Others of you would say, well, we have no conflict in our relationship. It's all smooth sailing completely. And maybe you're just tucking it all away at times. And maybe you're shutting down and she's shutting down and you never resolve anything. Who knows where you're at? And for some of us, the tension's buried deep. You don't talk about things often. In others, there's a constant barrage of grenades being thrown in the home. And people that say, oh, yeah, we fight hard, but we love hard too. And I guess there is such a thing as healthy conflict. But for some of us, what starts out healthy doesn't end up healthy. And when there's a little verbal jab here and there, the next thing you know, the fight is on, and one of you is trying to talk calmly, and the other is going for the jugular all at the same time. And so for some of us, the tension's not hiding. It's just right in front of us. And you've tried avoiding conflict. You've tried engaging in conflict. You've tried it all, and it isn't getting better. And just to hear me talk about this today, you've locked in. You're not looking around. You're not looking at the person next to you. Just like, okay. So whether your tension is out front or whether it's like a submarine under the surface and coming up for brief moments and going back down, if you're never moving forward over the same fights, it's exhausting. But it doesn't have to be that way. When you ask the question, why is there so much conflict in our relationships, James deals with this, and he brings it out in James 4:1. He says this, and this is the question that you're asking, whether you know it or not. What is causing the quarrels and fights among you? That's the question. Where does the hostility come from? Where does the bickering and the sniping and the sarcasm and the friction and the silent treatment and the resentment, where is it all coming from? I'd like to know. Wouldn't you like to know? James is going to help us figure it out. Because if we knew where it came from, we could probably try to fix it or help it or prevent it, right? And so it's crazy that two people that start out, texting heart eye emojis to each other after every phrase end up at each other's throats. But that's how it can go sometimes. Have you ever watched, and I talked about the Raiders and Chiefs, but have you ever watched the post game of a football game and be like, wow, that's crazy that they make up so fast? Like, these guys are really out there clobbering each other. Like, I'm talking elbows to the throat, chop blocks, trying to end somebody's, effectiveness on that field. And the moment the game's over, like, yo, I love you, man. I love you. I love you. And they all kneel together at the center of the field and pray. Like, NFL players are making up a lot quicker than many of you are making up with a person that you love so much. And, they're making up quicker than a lot of romantically involved folks are making up. Why is it that way? Like, where does that come from? And for many of us, we would say, it comes from them. It's them. She doesn't respect me. He doesn't nurture me. He doesn't listen. It's them. And some of us would say it's our circumstances. Like, we don't have enough money. And the number one fight in most relationships is usually money. But number two, for us, is driving preferences. It's always on the list. I want to tell you a little story about the Padgitts, the man of God and the First Lady. We were leaving our subdivision where the speed limit is 25. I am obeying all the signs, and I'm putting in the destination on the phone, and I pull up to the stoplight, and I stop. And there's a guy coming. He's coming, and I saw him, but I'm down here. And I let the car inch a little bit forward while I'm working on the phone. And from my right-hand side, bloody murder and a slap. And I'm like, what, darling? Yes, my dear. She's like, you almost hit that guy. Like, honey, I'm not moving. It's 25 miles an hour in here. We haven't left our street yet. I feel like I got this under control. I said, here's the deal I want to make with you tonight, because we were driving out to Mountain Grove. I said, darling, I just don't want you to critique my driving tonight. I'll be super careful. Like, okay. And so we're driving, and I'm trying to figure out my cruise control. So I'm going 76 through Rogersville. And you know where that cop sits? Right before 125 on the left. And she sees it and says nothing. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why marriage and relationships are hard. It's difficult at times. And for some of us, it's the challenge of parenting. A lot of step-parent situations. You have all the responsibility, none of that natural bond, and you got to work to create it. There's some amazing step-parents in our church. For many of you, it is our in-laws and their meddling ways. Oh. And what's funny about some people is the only time they have a major fight is when they're around their in-laws. So I know where you should not go for vacation this year. But James is trying to boil all that down and say this in James 4:1 about the problem when he said in the first part, what's causing the quarrels and fights? And then the second part, he says, don't they come from the evil desires at war within you? No, James, actually not. It's her. It's him. It's my ex. It's my kids. It's my parents. It's my finances. It's my fiance. My fiance's parents. It's our checking account. The devil's in our checking account. But it's not me. It can't be me. And yet James says that while all those factors can be very real, none of them are actually causing the worst conflicts. We are. We are. When I was a young married man and Renee was young, we like to fight. We would fight and argue and bicker back and forth until we were both so tired we just stopped because of sheer exhaustion. I've grew up a little bit, and I don't have the energy for that, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to fight that hard, honey. Let's work together. And so James refers to that thing in us that wants to fight, wants to get our own way, as evil desires. That's not just the name of a band at Dennis's place. That's something within you. Evil desires. Evil desires. All of us who've lived through conflict in a relationship are probably thinking, again, not my problem, their problem. It's just that we're under stress. It's just that it showed up from out of nowhere. And James says that before the other person ever let us down, before the argument ever moved toward disrespect, before the nagging and the constant criticism began, before the stress arrived and the trash wasn't taken out and the dishwasher wasn't unloaded and she ran the curb over the wheel and there were evil desires in us. It's not about the curb and the wheel. It's the evil inside of us that sets us up to react, to retaliate, and to resent. And so here's how he defines those evil desires in verse 2. You want what you do not have. Covetousness. Thinking that the other person is going to complete me. Nobody completes you. Only the presence of God, the Spirit of God, the love of God can complete you. No human person can complete you. That's why, was it the Notebook? You complete me. No, you don't. No, you don't. Nothing completes you like Jesus completes you. And so quarrels and fights come from the fact that we want what we do not have. So what do we want? Well, we want respect, we want love, we want admiration, we want affirmation, we want peace, we want happiness, we want space sometimes. We want space, then we want intimacy, and those two things don't really work together. We want consideration, we want understanding, we want protection, we want devotion, we want loyalty, faithfulness. And when we don't get all that from the person that we're looking to for it, we get ticked off. And that's when we fight. We climb into the ring, we do our dance. We climb to the top rope and just sail and drop the atomic elbow. And most of the time, we feel like we're fighting for what's right, but truthfully, we're fighting for what's right for us. And here's what wanting what we don't have eventually causes us to do. In James, he says, so you scheme and kill to get it. We have evil desires that drive us. And when we don't get them, we will scheme and kill to get it. Remember your first pet? Remember your first pet? Was it a fish? Was it a rat? Was it a hamster? Was it a dog? Was it a cat? Was it a parakeet? Was it a gerbil? What was your first pet? Mine was a collie named Dallas. But before that, really my first pet was a pet peeve. Anybody have any pet peeves? If there are no apartments charge you for those. You can carry them right in. It's a pet peeve that can show up. And when the pet peeves show up, they look so precious. We lived back when we lived close to Willard by a river, and all the independent dog breeders would decide when it was time to dump their dogs, they would dump them out by our house because there was a river and they could drink water, and I don't know what their thinking was. And so over and over again, we would see these poor little show dogs show up mangy and nasty, and we would take them in, and we'd go through the whole ritual of Leah's Place, or whatever that thing is called on Facebook, and trying to find a home, and eventually we would find a home. But these animals had never been messed with. They were treated like breeding stock, and so they were vicious and terrible. They looked cute, but they were really terrible. And we've done that with our pet peeves in our marriage and in our relationships. We've named them, we've played with them, we've cared for them, we've fed them, we built a little house for them, we made them real comfortable, we got some soft bedding to put them in, and some of us have brought a whole flock of pet peeves into our house. Anybody got some pet peeves? Oh, wow. Everybody's so balanced and nobody's got into it lately. So good. The question is, in spite of your pet peeves, do you fight fair? Because James is saying most of us don't fight fair and we don't fight from a good place. We fight from a place that is motivated by evil desires. And so we scheme. Hopefully we don't do the kill part, but we can do it with our words, I guess. Just wait until he gets home. Wait till I tell him. I'll tell you what right now, next time she does that, I'm going to do this. She ain't ever going to, I'm going to learn her. I'm going to tell her right now. I'm going to let her know. Hey, you don't do that. You don't do that to Big Daddy. No, no, no. I'm going to word this text so viciously that he will not even know how to respond. I'm going to do it so they'll regret losing their temper. I'm going to make it so cold in this house, polar bears are going to ask for the thermostat to be turned up. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to pretend I'm fine. Oh, I'm fine. This is something y'all do. You fight with each other and you act really loving toward the pets. I've done it. I'm fine. Nothing bothers me. We scheme and we kill to protect our pet peeves. We kill each other's spirits. We kill our relationships. We kill our peace because we want what we do not have. We are evil on the inside and need Jesus so much. And it gets even worse. It gets worse, James says in verse 2. He says, you're jealous of what others have, but you can't get it. So you fight and wage war to take it away from them. There was a song that we sang in the little hillbilly church I grew up in, and it would go like this. It's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my brother, not my sister, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Banjo solo. But many times we want to assess blame when honestly we need to repent. And so I have a problem. I have many problems. We're not going to discuss them all today. But what I'm comfortable discussing with you is that I have a progress problem. I like progress. I kind of demand it. And this causes me to be somewhat absent-minded and ill-equipped for the routine stuff of life at times. To me, progress is fun. Better is fun. But because that's fun, sometimes I struggle to have fun because problems motivate me to push for progress that I truly love. And while writing this message, I get up early and just get after it. I don't shower, I just jump up and I grab my laptop and I'm ready to rock and roll. And I make my coffee. Oh yes, it's the 33-ounce Yeti cup. The ones they used to sell at Walmart that were so popular for a long time. Got several of those. Fill that to the top. Let's go. Me, coffee, Jesus, we're going to get this sermon done. And I get up, get ready, and make my coffee to perfection. Chef's kiss. Perfect combination of the creamer and the coffee. You know what I'm talking about. And so I then take my coffee. Now, I told you a couple weeks ago about how I put my coffee on top of the car and it spilled everywhere, industrial accident on my way to work. So I set that same cup of coffee again down on Sunday, and I set it down on Renee's hair scrunchie. There's scrunchies in my car. There's scrunchies by my chair. There's scrunchies all over the house. Anybody know about hair scrunchies? There's various need for hair scrunchies at all times. So once again, for the third time this month, I have a coffee industrial accident. Literally coffee everywhere. And I know she's asleep. I'm trying not to wake her up, but it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I just go, ah! So I spend the next 35 minutes cleaning up the coffee. And I'm cleaning up that coffee, and I'm going, doesn't she understand I'm busy? She should be up early making my coffee just like I like it and handing it to me so these things wouldn't happen. Evil desires. Anybody got them? And then she didn't anticipate my needs, left her hair scrunchy. And when I tell her about it, she's going to totally lack compassion. Which happened. I was telling myself it would happen, it happened. So I tell her, she's like, what was that screaming this morning, honey? And I said to her, well, I spilled my coffee again. And she said, maybe we should get a paid surrogate to monitor your needs and take care of you. And I said, honey, that's not the answer I'm looking for. So, Renee likes Fun Tyler. And he was around when we were dating. And I like unopinionated Renee. That's who I met when we were 18. But that person died long ago. And Renee knows the value of fun. More importantly, she seems to value me having fun. And she feels like it's super important to point out when I'm not having any. And I tell her, winning is fun, honey. She works hard and such, but I can also get irritable and wound tight, and my pace ends up being hard to stop. And I sometimes live in the future, or worse yet, the past, and struggle to be present. So in our marriage, there'd be times when I'd get irritable. And I think to myself, why doesn't she act more like me? It'd all be better if she acted more like me. Don't look around, just look at me this morning. Why doesn't she push as hard as I'm pushing? Doesn't she know how many things we need to get done? There have been times in our marriage when I've even commented on my need for her to recognize progress and substitute it for my present joy that's lacking. And I wonder why she won't join me in my overthinking, my overworking and general intensity about everything, and make more lists and get a plan. And just say, I know I'm not acting fun, but can't you be thankful for how far we've come? And she looks at me and she says, you need to smile more. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why marriage is hard. But I need what she's saying. And without her, no one would say it to me. So she is more than willing to take upon herself that mantle of anointing to tell me the areas in which I need to improve. James 4:2 says, you want what you don't have. So you scheme and kill to get it. You're jealous of what others have, but you can't get it, so you fight and wage war to take it away from them. And here's the problem. What you want, they cannot give you. And that's where our fights come from. The obvious and subtle ones, of course, the yelling and silent ones, all of that, the clashing, the ones where you drift apart and then you have to work to come back. We want what we don't have, and that other person can't give it to us. But someone can. And there's someone who cares about what we want and can provide it. And even when he doesn't provide it, he can change our heart to change our desires so it better lines up with what's best for us. It is very important that we pray about our relationships, our marriages, the future relationships, the ones you're trying to figure out, work out right now, and ask for God to direct you. Because, church, cuffing season is coming. That's when it gets colder outside and darker, and people say, hey, why don't we just shack up for the season? And that is not God's best for your life. The Lord would desire us, through his word, to forego the deep intimacy of marriage prior to a wedding ceremony. Can I say that any more carefully? Like, just because you have emotions and feelings doesn't mean it's time to throw away all of God's covenant and say, let's move in together. Because that honestly, ladies, that demotivates a man. It really does. And our heart does not always align with what's best for us. James 4:2 says, you don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it. When you fall in love, that's the time you need to be seeking God more. Because as you all probably know, the moment you fall in love, the chemicals and the thought processes, I've never been as giggly as I was those first 6 months of our relationship. Like, it doesn't happen. You remember back, I'm going to take you back, just talk amongst yourselves, young people. Remember when Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton fell in love very publicly, and they just PDA'd till we were all just sick of it? Nobody remembers that. Well, trust me, don't Google it, just trust me on that. And many times we can just lose our mind when new relationships come, and we stop seeking God. Do not stop seeking God. Because many times we're like, oh, God sent me the one. He's answered my prayer. I will quit praying and seeking him. And then you cause that relationship to suffer because the attitude and dedication and devotion that caused your heart to be ready for that person God brought into your life, you now throw it out the window because you've got them. Do not move somebody into your house without a covenant and not just a shake on it, like a full-on marriage covenant. We want what we don't have. They can't give it to us. We stop seeking God. Only God can give it. And James says, the problem is you. That's why I repeatedly tell us, all as a church, from the top to the bottom, me to everybody, none of us can be past repenting. If you haven't looked your spouse, your loved one, your finance me, the person that you're with in the eye and say, I'm sorry, and you're not capable of doing that, you need to check yourself, because that is essential for every helpful and honest and forward-growing relationship. And typically one person's really good at it and the other's not. And so James doesn't give us a lot of answers here except to say, you're the problem. And this guy's pastoring a big church, and he's just telling these people, y'all are the problem here. So to get some help today, I'm going to bring Paul into the picture, because Paul gives us better answers here. And this is from Galatians 6:1. Paul gives us the key to fixing all this. All right? He says, dear brothers and sisters, if another believer is overcome by some sin, and you who are godly should gently, humbly help that person back onto the right path, and be careful not to fall into the same temptation yourself. Look at the person next to you and say, humbly help. Humbly help. When was the last time, rather than point the finger and say, you're just like your father, you're just like your side of the family, when you put the finger down and went and humbly helped? And I hear you men, you're saying, I don't know, everything I do is wrong. And you feel like this, you feel like the T-Rex. Put it on the screen. There's a great marriage and relationship book called T-Rex Trying. And the T-Rex can't do anything because he's got short arms. So he can't paddle a canoe, he can't eat on a plane, he can't box with his arms, he can't play the bongos, his arms are too short. And many times when we're trying to fix things, we're like, I can't. I got T-Rex arms. I can't fix it. I can't reach it. I can't reach her. And that's fair. So rather than think that you're going to fix, just help. Let's quit trying to fix and start helping. Guys, let me stick to the ladies first. Ladies, we want you to be happy more than anything in the world. Like that's the apex right there. Like, we want you to be happy. You being happy is the best thing in our life. Can I have an amen from the men? Yeah. Now, we don't know how. The target moves sometimes. What used to work doesn't work. And people are snorting. And gentlemen, What she wants from you is for you to feel what she feels and care about her well-being more than your own. She wants you to love her in a way that puts her welfare and the welfare of the family first. Not your hobbies, not your wants, not your preferences, like totally locked in to make her life better. The only way we can each get there is by humbly helping each other. We cannot get there otherwise. In the best relationships, that's what people do all the time. They work to grow spiritually, but they also realize it is my desire to humbly help you. Galatians 2 says this, share each other's burdens. So we're supposed to humbly help, and we're supposed to share each other's burdens. Many, many years ago, there was this awesome man in the church. He was crashing out. He had been through some difficulty in his life. He was crashing out. And he couldn't pull it together. He was a high performer in every way, but he was crashing out at home. And his wife said to me, well, he's just going to have to work that out. And I try to be so measured and kind, but I said, that's pride. Because you are one flesh. And if she's struggling, I got to struggle. If there's difficulty that he's facing, you have to care about it. We can't just take our hands off and say, well, you'll figure that out on your own. No, we're called to humbly help. We're called to realize we have evil desires that work against goodness in our life and that we need to be submitted to Christ. And when there's a struggle, we humbly help. Galatians 6:2 says, share each other's burdens. And in this way, we obey the law of Christ. Humbly helping is the way of Jesus. He says, if you think you're too important to help someone, you're only fooling yourself. You're not that important. There's been many times I felt like I was too much of the problem or too ill-equipped to help share Renee's burdens. In those moments, I wanted her to fix it herself. Better yet, fix yourself. And at the same time, you're thinking, well, I got my own burdens, and they're important too. And we get into one-upmanship and competition. You had a hard day? Oh, that ain't nothing. Let me tell you about my hard day. And in those moments, Paul says we're only fooling ourselves. Not because I'm not important, you're just not that important. We're called to help, humbly help, and share in the burdens of another. That means we can't have a self-absorbed mindset. That means that we got to put our wants and needs at a second-tier level and work to serve one another in a relationship. Share the burden. What weight are they carrying? What struggle are they dealing with? What sickness are they walking through? What loss are they grieving? When you follow Jesus and you're in a relationship, you don't resent the other person for having a burden. For having a burden, you try to humbly help. But there's also a warning here in verse 1. It says this, and be careful not to fall into the same temptation. What in the world does that mean? Let's look at it. You're supposed to help, but you're also supposed to avoid falling into the same temptation they're struggling with. So if they're dealing with depression, don't get yourself good and depressed trying to help them. If they're resentful, don't you become resentful too and think you're helping. If they're angry, don't you get angry too to try to help them. It goes on to say in verse 4, pay careful attention to your own work, for then you'll get the satisfaction of a job well done, and you won't need to compare yourself to anyone else, for we are each responsible for our own conduct. And so we should share burdens, but we should not share behaviors. I will humbly help you, but you can have a bad day all by yourself. I'll be here to humbly help. A behavior is something we choose. A burden is something we don't choose. And so share the burden, but don't adopt the behavior. Is that fair? Share in the burdens, but don't adopt the behavior. So in a marriage, it's not her burden, it's our burden. In a marriage, it's not his problem, it's our problem. We cannot compete with one another. We must be a team that works to grow together. And so, If you've been living out your relationship like you're a mighty roaring T-Rex, but you have no arms to help, it's time to grow some new arms with your helpfulness. Don't blame, just help. Don't criticize, just help. Paul says we should share each other's burdens. That doesn't mean we own each other's behavior. It means we help